Radio. It's time for News You Need. News You Need is a look at current events and how they affect the college community and beyond. And now here's the host of News You Need, Dr. Ed Simpson.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting week of News You Need. This is the show where we do all sorts of shenanigans and hijinks, and we also talk about what's in the news. And the reason we care is that our communities, our society is faced with all kinds of issues crashing toward us, and the only way to know what they are and how to deal with them is to consume the news, talk about it with each other, and figure out, as a citizen of our society, which direction do we want to go, right? That's why we're here. So, and as usual, we are talking with the best human beings in the whole world, which is our USM students, and we have a great panel today. So if you would, fellers, introduce yourselves, perhaps give us your hometown, maybe your major, and what student group you are with.
Okay, I guess we'll start. Hi, my name is Renika Hampton. I am from Ridgeland, Mississippi. My major is merchandising, and I am the secretary of the Artists Guild.
Oh, the Artists Guild. Okay,
Yes.
We'll talk about that. Excellent.
Hi, I'm Clarice. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I'm a sophomore, and I am a conservation biology major, and I am the president of Hattie's Birders here on campus.
Hattie's Burgers. I don't know what that is.
Birders.
What is that?
It's a bird watching club, and we're
Oh,
also
Hattie's Birders.
Yep.
Oh, did you get that?
When she said it.
Yeah, Hattie's
yeah.
Burgers, because there's a restaurant downtown that has Hattie's Burger. I love that. We'll talk about that.
Hi, my name is Bo. I'm a freshman here at USM in psychology, and I'm from Richland, Mississippi. I'm not currently affiliated with any student groups, unfortunately.
Totally okay. Do you guys know each other?
I've seen you in the dorms. I feel
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But you're from Ridgeland.
Yeah.
Aren't you from Ridgeland?
like. Yeah. Wait, Rich. Okay, yes.
Slight
There's
difference.
Ridgeland.
Different.
Yeah.
Okay, Ridgeland is outside of Jackson.
Yes.
Richland.
Is also outside of
Oh,
Jackson.
okay. Well, we did not narrow that down at all.
Sides of Jackson.
Okay, so we got a lot going on here today, which is super awesome. The Artists Guild, what is that, and what are you all up to?
We are the resident art club. We actually had a meeting. My memory is off. I want to say it's last week. No, it was this past Wednesday. Yes, well, we had a guest speaker. We have guest speakers come to talk to artists about how to brand themselves, about how to market their art, or just art in general. And next week, we're also going to have a meeting where we're going to make sun catchers. We do lots of arts and crafts
wow.
together.
Okay, well, that is pretty super awesome. So you consider yourself an artist? Do you make things? What do you make?
I do. I am a painter.
Wow.
So I make paintings. I don't make the canvases. I want to save up on money, but yeah, I just make paintings and prints.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Any subject matter that you...
Honestly, anything that comes to mind, I like painting landscapes, and I also like painting bunnies occasionally.
Well, okay, bunnies can be in landscapes.
Yes.
So you can, wow. Okay, that's exciting. Love that. How many students are in that group?
Ooh, it's a lot. And I say it's a lot because as a secretary, I email a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's I email 100, and it's just regularly, it's just who are able to make it are 20 to 30.
That's about right, what I'm hearing for student groups, but that's great. Good sized group. Okay, Hattie's Birders.
Yup.
What is that?
It's a bird watching club. We're not just doing bird watching, believe it or not. We do bird activities such as game nights. We go bird watching around campus. We're also in partnership with the Pinewoods Audubon Society here in Hattiesburg. That means we'll do little environmental projects around town. Right now we're hoping to work on great Mississippi birding trails and make them more accessible to people who are disabled. And also we're trying to get a pollinator garden here on campus.
You know, it's such a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I love so when you say pollinator garden, is that for bees, to attract
Yep.
bees?
It's for bees, butterflies, and even birds.
And we like bees
Yes.
because they are the canary, as it were, of your ecosystems, right?
Yep, they're very important to our ecosystems.
Yeah. So you're what's your major?
Conservation biology.
What do you want to do with the rest of your life?
Oh. So my dream job got cut. I wanted to originally to be the head ornithologist, which is your study of birds. of a national park, but because of the cut of funding, that position got taken away.
You know, I want to talk about that today. That's obviously a big thing in the news. What do you want to do with the rest of your life?
For me, I would like to own a boutique with my fashion designs and have an art gallery that not only features my art, but also artists in the community, since community helped, make me who I am and also got me to where I am. So I would like other artists to be featured in there.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Now, you're not a member of a group yet. Psychology has several student groups. Why psychology?
Well, I was originally in marketing, and I'm going to be honest, I went
Yeah.
through the course list, and I was like, this might not be
I
for
hear
me.
ya.
It's a little technical.
I feel you.
Not that psychology is any less technical. It's just slightly more interesting to me because I like to learn about the mind and the kind of reactions that people have
Yeah.
to different sort of things.
Yeah.
I'm really looking to go into therapy because I like working one-on-one with people and helping them work through their stuff. I'm currently in therapy, so I'm learning a lot about it firsthand. I'm learning a lot about it technically through my classes, and so far I'm really enjoying it.
Cool.
So I think
Oh,
so,
very
yeah.
exciting. Okay, well, you guys are super interesting. So, what are USM students talking about? What's in the news for our USM students?
Ooh, far as I know right now, it's just like talking with USM is just, obviously what's going on with federal, like,
We have
cutting
some hand
and
signals
funding.
going. For those, 'cause this is a radio show. I think we forgot about that, but there's some hand signals, thumbs down going on. So go ahead. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
You're good. Honestly, it's just like also with USM dealing with like dorms, stuff at the dorms.
Really? What's going on at the
Yeah.
dorms?
Like wanting better rooms or just like the walking distance between classes.
Interesting.
Yeah, or it's just like, oh, the elevator is broken again.
Interesting. So
Yes.
that certainly a group of our. Are you in the dorms as well?
I am, and I'm having a lot of issues with it as well.
Are you in the dorms?
Yep.
Okay, well, let's talk about the dorms. So the elevators are not working. Wow. What else? Well, the
Art-
distance, there's not much you can do. What's the main complaint about the distance? Because I do know one issue was that they've closed down some of the dorms that were more central, and now I believe all the dorms are at the end of campus. So some of our students are going, that's too far to walk?
Too far. It's more about the accessibility of it. I don't know if you heard, but the other day,
No.
a girl got hit like by a car on the crosswalk between Century Park North and Century Park South.
I've not heard that.
Yeah, it was horrible. I had a friend witness it firsthand, and she told me that it was awful. It was a
So
horrible
the
thing to
theory
happen.
is if you're going to have thousands of students walk across that street, what are we doing?
Yeah, we need to make it a
Well,
lot
that's
more
a
safe.
heck of an issue. Okay.
I want to talk about that parking garage. The elevators are always broken, and it's a very
I don't know if the elevators are
trashy-
safe.
Yeah, it shakes whenever it does operate, and also our parking garage is trashy. And then they also have the 5th floor blocked off, which is horrible because they kick us students off campus whenever there's a football game. And so
You mean your cars? You can no longer park in the parking garage.
Mhm,
So are you on your own to find a place to park?
basically, and you have
Yes.
to walk from the theater building to your dorm room.
Which is another long way. So this is all new to me. I think this is great. This is why why I ask, which is really interesting. Now, I do know there are residence hall councils. Have you all brought these issues up to your residence hall councils, to your RAs, to the dorm?
Yes.
And what's been the response?
Can't do
Shoulder
anything about
shrug.
it, Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Shoulder
not
shrug,
really
the
in my
typical
control. Yeah.
bureaucratic response.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's basically the same thing of like, hey, you go through protocol to get the problem resolved, but it's like you're not going to get anything accomplished per se.
Interesting. Okay, it looks to me like as usual, I've gone over, and we are going to take a break. We'll pick up with dorm issues on the other side.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, we are back, and as usual, we talked right through the break about just what I am just fascinated with this issue. This is the first time I'm hearing about it, which I always love hearing about things the first time. So, yeah, there's a concern for safety, but there's also a concern for convenience, clearly. Anything else about the dorms? Those are two pretty big things.
Cleanliness is, yeah.
Okay, cleanliness. Talk to me about that.
This past semester in the fall, I had an issue with my air conditioner where it was leaking water onto my floor and eventually caused mold in my room. Oh. Yeah, it was, my posters on the wall were curling, some of the books on my bookshelf covered in like this green and white fuzzy mold because the AC just would not stop going. And I mean, we called maintenance and let them know, and they brought us a dehumidifier and cleaned out the vents, but the AC just does not turn off at all, and it stays really cold.
Wow.
Yeah, I had the same problem freshman year. I was like, because our in Century Park North, the closets have doors. And so sometimes I would just go in the closet and my stuff would be covered in mold. And I called maintenance. I even cleaned it up, and they housekeeping showed up, and they were like, we don't see a problem with it now. It's because I had cleaned it, because it's like you can't leave it out for so long. And it's like, it's not until I put in a request where I was specific, like, I need a dehumidifier to solve it. Luckily, it slowed down, but also it was just like, okay, if I'm going to put something in the closet, I have to make sure it's not like too valuable, or shoes have to be taken out of it just to be sure.
Yeah, interesting. How's it? Go ahead.
For me, it's just like they don't clean the door handles. You know, people are getting sick, and they, of course, stay in their dorm room like they're supposed to, especially whenever they're a long distance away from their house like me. I can't drive to get back if I'm sick. But they don't also clean the floors. They don't do the steam cleaning, which can leave sticky residue, and it can stink really bad in the halls.
Yeah. Well, you're also an environmental, so you're all attuned.
Yeah.
Some of us would be less attuned to that. But wow, well, that's just really fascinating, guys. Super interesting on the dorm issue. What else are USM students talking about? What's news to our USM students?
The concerns with the federal cuts.
So that is definitely on the list. This has come up now since President Trump took office. There's thousands and thousands of cuts. You are clearly concerned with the national park cuts. So what are our students thinking? What is the real issue with this here? What's going on?
For me, it's just a reminder of that it feels like there is less job security. You know, a lot of times they ask students, like, what do you want to do after college? Or, like, are you looking for jobs? And it's like the job search is already hard as it is because no one is replying back to students. But also you have students who want to go into federal for something more secure. And it's like, actually, that is not as secure as you think it is.
That's such interesting insight. Now, of course, you had a very specific career path that you feel is now being threatened.
Yes. So originally, it was very accessible. Now it's not. There's no such thing, and it's hard. It's difficult to specialize now within your conservation biology field because you can't do research projects, and that's like the thing that drives our field is research, being hands-on, grant money, and now we don't have as much grant money as we used to. We also, for example, I know a graduate student here at Southern Miss that I worked with, and we couldn't do his thesis because he was working with Desoto National Forest, and because of the logging and the cuts, he couldn't do his thesis, so now he's lost. And he doesn't know what to do, so it just sucks all around.
Wow. So now you're not directly involved in some of this, but are you hearing it as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially with the financial aid stuff. That's worrying me really bad. I'm here almost completely on a full ride with all of my tuition being covered by FAFSA or Mississippi Financial Aid or scholarships or things of that nature.
So it feels like all of this stuff about cutting they did announce yesterday that the Department of Education, U.S. Department of Education, is laying off approximately half its workforce, about 2,500 people. But it feels like all of this goes into how our students are feeling in this current climate. So talk to me about that a little bit. How are our students feeling given blaring headlines of layoffs and tariffs and all that?
I think we're just scared more than anything because, in order to survive within this country, you need your money because money is what gives us our groceries. And there's students here I know that depend on the food pantry, and with the not having really much access to money, the food pantry is also going to decrease because they also have an increase in demand in the food with the USM food pantry, but a decrease in the funding.
Interesting. Well, I had not heard that. Do we know that? Are we just assuming that?
We know a little.
We know a
Yeah,
little. Gotcha. That's okay. I mean, that's
just
something
talk.
to ask about. It does. So it feels like an overall economic anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And is this so? Now, they did have a new inflation report come out this week, and inflation is slightly down. Are you guys feeling that?
No, not at all. Not in prices.
Mm-mm.
So how do prices affect our students?
Well, I mean, especially for people who live on campus, we're seeing that, and me personally, for the breakfast, they have like an omelet station, but the price of
Ooh,
eggs.
interesting. Okay.
They don't have an omelet station anymore because of the price of eggs are going up, and they said they're probably not going to get it back until, the price stabilizes again, and that's so saddening.
So you've lost omelets?
Right. It was my favorite thing for breakfast, and we don't have it anymore.
I was unaware of that.
For me, I've noticed it more of like convenience in terms of like vending machine and also of like delivery because I'm currently unemployed and I don't have a car. And so just trying to, my mom will pay for like Instacart to have groceries and it's just like the delivery fees on top of that. And trying to budget what money I have gotten from family with also prices on the rise is just like very tricky.
Wow. Interesting. Okay.
I think it just impacts our tuition as well, and then just for me, I don't have family to pay for stuff, so I'm by myself. I'm 12 hours away from home. I can't imagine how it is for students who are even further, having to fend for themselves that don't have anyone else to depend on, and so we have to depend on having enough money for gas money, having enough money for groceries, and it can be really alarming and scary if you don't have the access to the streetcar or a car to go to a job.
Well, that's the other issue about Hattiesburg, right? Is that there is no public transportation, which is another economic issue, right? So you talk about student cars. Do you each have a car?
I do.
I do not.
You do not. Okay, so 2 out of the 3 of that. So and you're from Kansas City, Missouri?
Mm-hmm.
And so how'd you end up at USM?
Oh, it was... So Missouri's tuitions, in-state tuition is so high right now, and Mississippi's tuition for out-of-state students are much cheaper.
Really?
now.
Than in-state Missouri students?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Actually, I kind of knew that. That's a strategy Mississippi has, which is, I think, it's a good strategy, right?
It's worked.
It's worked to at least get you here, right?
Yep.
That's interesting. So cost was a huge driver for you.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. So this idea of economic anxiety, I've heard about from our students. What about how does that make you feel about your president of the United States? How does that make you? How are we feeling?
I don't know where this is going because, he promised all these things as soon as he's going to get into office, and we're not really seeing the effects of that, and now we're kind of being told, well, what did you expect? Like, this isn't what you wanted? No, it's not, but...
Interesting.
Yeah, he did all say, like, all these promises that would happen, and he did, in fact, just got here, so, presidency is a few years, but it's still taken a huge toll on the American population overall, especially college students, that it's just
It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's more fearful and also a little angry because it's like you making all these promises, but not only the president, but also the people support him, because it feels like the sentiment of you have to do everything on your own has really heightened. So to see all these cuts is just like, oh wow, people are saying reach out for help, but now help is getting cut. So it's just like that fear and then also that anger of like, well, what am I supposed to do now?
Right.
Really comes into play.
Right. That's really well said, I think. So let me throw a headline at you. It kind of related to this. This is from CNN. Schumer backs down on fight against GOP's government funding bill as Democrats face reckoning over Trump strategy. So the idea is that the government will shut down if they don't pass more funding. And I believe the deadline is tonight, sometime around midnight. So there's been a lot of discussion that the House passed a budget bill that's not very popular. It includes some things that we're not quite all sure is about, but it would definitely keep the government open. Goes over to the Senate. There is a lot of debate this week about whether the Democrats should join on this bill because they need 8 Democrat votes to pass this and keep the government open. But there's been a lot of pushback from Democrats saying, hey, this is the only power you have and you're giving it away because why? And so are our students engaged in this? So there's this overall economic anxiety. Are you engaged in this kind of minutia as the headlines come out?
I just now learned about this.
Yeah, that's
I get
okay.
my news, I will admit, because we are such a split country between two parties. I get my news from France 24, which is international in France, and they did not cover that. I mean, I listen to France 24 every morning. I read the articles every morning. I did not know about that, and that's horrible because we had a federal shutdown a few years ago, and now we're doing it again.
Yeah, that's interesting. So where do the rest? So I've never heard anybody say France 24. That's fascinating to me. Where do the rest of you guys get your news?
Honestly, I usually get it pretty secondhand. Sometimes I'll see something on social media and I'm like, is that true? And then I have to go and do my own research because a lot of times I can't trust the regular, CNN, Fox News, because this, that, and the other, they're all biased. But a lot of international news stations will cover some stuff that's going on in America. And sometimes it's better to get a third-party perspective to see what other people are getting.
Really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also get my information secondhand, like via social media, but also I try to be careful because I'm like, if I know you're someone I generally agree with, I'm like, let me just go look this up to get like that third party, like objective view.
There is a whole field growing behind this idea of I don't believe anything I see. Is that fair? Do you guys believe what you see on social media?
No.
It honestly depends. I have to be so honest. Sometimes there are people who are a little bit more reliable, but then you always have to worry about bias as well. Because that, especially when it comes to social media, nobody's regulating that. They can say what they want and how they feel, and that's okay. It just may not necessarily be the truth.
That is absolutely fascinating. And I actually want to talk about this idea of young people and social media influencers when we come back after this break.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. We've got a lot of food in this country, so how are 17 million kids in America struggling with hunger? That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gathers surplus food and gets it to hungry kids who need it. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
To help solve hunger in Mississippi, contact Mississippi Food Network or visit feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
To the big-hearted, the bold, the teachers, the growers, the builders, the change makers, we need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go the distance to make a difference. We're volunteers, partners, communities, bringing our experience, joy, and passion to building a better world together. Are you looking for more? Then we are looking for you. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
And we are back. So we were talking about where folks get their news, and so I was coming. Now I do this for a living, right? But so I look at all the stuff pretty often. So there's a new study that came out, Pew Research, which is kind of the gold standard of audience research. A third of folks your age say they get the majority of their news not just from social media, but from social media influencers. Okay, you're shaking your head. No, you're not buying it?
So I'm kind of an outlier. I barely have any social media.
You are an outlier.
I don't really look at social media.
You watch birds.
Yeah, exactly.
In France 24.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. But you do.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Cause there are some people that I enjoy following online just to see, cause they do some fun creative stuff, or maybe some sort of fitness journey that I'm following for some reason, just cause I want to. But they like to post here and there some political stuff, and I don't always agree with that. And I always, kind of double check that for the most part.
But you're not actively seeking
that information. No.
Interesting.
It's just kind of pushed towards me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same with me. I don't know the main influencers everyone is following. My influencers that I guess you can call them that, are more up and coming. So it seems like I can trust them more, and that parasocial relationship, I guess you can say, kind of gets into it.
Yeah, the fact that you know what parasocial is, I think, is great. Yeah, so number one influencer, Joe Rogan.
Oh.
Have you guys ever listened to Joe Rogan?
No.
Never heard of that. Never heard of that name.
You've never heard Joe Rogan?
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
Okay, number one podcaster in the world. 73 million downloads a month. Considered highly influential in the presidential election, possibly getting Trump elected.
That's scary.
Well, this is the kind of the world that we live in, right? So if you were to read a headline in the New York Times, I'm reading you headlines now, do you believe them?
Not entirely, because the way headlines are written are supposed to get attention and not necessarily be correct all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And also with that, it's just I feel like numbers can be misconstrued. It's it's not the exact, it's maybe an estimation,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel as if I love learning about the evolution of journalism. It feels like they, went from the newspaper, read all about it, to which is they would just spew out numbers and everything to sound more interesting, whereas now it's just, oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end to grab your attention.
Well, it is really interesting, and we could spend months actually talking about where the media is today, but we can't do that. But that's just fascinating to hear you guys, and the fact that we really have evolved from your parents pretty much believing everything they read to now this generation believing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I do wonder, and I don't want to get too metaphysical on y'all here, but how do you know then what decisions to make? If it's difficult to believe anything, how do you know what to do?
I always tell people, choose your battles. You can't tackle every single problem on your own. So I really just go along with what you believe is better for the people at heart, or whatever battle you're choosing at heart. What do you go with your morals and everything, and of course religion and your parents and your relationships with others teach you these morals. So
really interesting. So we're going from a intellectual A, B, C, D equal E process to a what do I feel? Mm-hmm. Really interesting. Everybody's nodding. Well, I tell you, it's gone by super quick as usual. We are here at the end of our time. Thank you, panel. You guys are amazing. I told you it would go quick, and it certainly did. So this has been a production of Southern Miss Student Media. Our engineer is Kylie Keenan. Thank you, Kylie. Our videographer is Isabella Michaud. And our producers for NYN are Lily Burgard and Annabella Laird. Thank you both for all of your work. And we will be back next week with more hijinks and shenanigans here at NYN.
This has been News You Need with Dr. Ed Simpson. News You Need airs Friday afternoon at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio.